Hello and good evening to our weekly Saturday live, which I promised we're going to do on a regular basis. So here we are. Hey Wyatt is here. Anil G is here. Hi guys, thank you for joining us. Vasudhara is here. Hi ma'am, loving Beatroot news. Yay! I'm so glad. I feel really happy right now when I run into people when I'm out. I meet people at airports, I meet them at malls, and they say things like, "Oh, we're using your app and we really like it." It makes me super excited because I feel really happy. So Vasundhara is using our app. Abhishek Chawla, who's winning the 2023 World Cup Women's Football. Uh, Joel Nazareth says hello. Sunil says hi. Simon Roshan says hi. Rajesh Desh Sarkar says hi, hi, hi. A name I cannot read because it is not in a language that I understand. God bless you too. Let me see. Forum, Rahul, Sarup, Radha. 1,000 kgs of respect for you and your team. Sadly, I have a show, so I can't stay. Oh, Radha, thank you for coming in anyway. It's nice to see you. Nazir, give your initial comments on India. Visit to Manipur. So, honestly, I think at this point, there has to be as much attention on Manipur as possible. And I think anybody who can bring that attention via the media or otherwise should be doing so. So I think the idea that, oh, you shouldn't go because you're causing more chaos at this point should not be valid because the chaos has now gone on for 90 days. And if the government wanted to, it could have controlled the chaos by now. So 90 days into the violence, to still say that, oh, there's violence and you're making it worse, I think is not fair. Um, Cricket World Cup. Yeah, I feel like if we play in India, and given the fact that the Indian cricket team, men's cricket team, is so strong, obviously India will win. Yeah, I'm rooting for India. The last time the Cricket World Cup was played in India, India won. Sunil says, download a beetroot. Thank you, Sunil. Let me know what you think. Harish, bringer of sunshine. That's really sweet. Abhishek Chavla, your thoughts on 2024 elections? Oh, it's anybody's game at this point. It's anybody's guess at this point. And I don't know politics well enough to be able to sort of guess an outcome. I know politics well enough to be able to tell you that anything is possible. Um, is it possible to do this live a little later at 8 or 8:30? So actually we have a team sort of get together this evening. So we normally would do it at 8 or 8:30, but because we're trying to get together this evening and sort of just like chill, I want to meet you guys early so that then we can just head out and we can meet before the traffic gets too bad. So that's why the live is earlier this week. Yashaswini says hello. Anil G, how could the fight against misinformation spread by those ruling the country? Yeah, that's true. Nazir says, God bless all, peace prevail, soon a change will come. I understand why BJP is so arrogant. Are they sure they'll win? Well, I don't know. I don't think. In fact, if there's one thing about the BJP that we can take for sure that we know is that they never take something for granted. The BJP takes winning elections very seriously, which is why they're working until the very very last moment. I want to give you the example of Gujarat elections, the last Gujarat elections, which obviously the BJP won by a landslide. And the Congress was not even trying, right? None of the Congress leaders, national leaders actually even went to Gujarat. They didn't make an effort. So it was very clear that BJP was going to win. But even so, the BJP put in their like maximum effort until the last very moment because that is what they do. So I don't think they're expecting that they will win just like that. I wouldn't make that conclusion about the BJP. Sorry, where was I? There. There's an okay, I should have retracted. Radha says, how's the little one? He's a total cutie. Thank you. He's actually just gone down. So he's now a year and a half old. So he's just old enough to be able to go downstairs and spend some time in the play area with the rest of the kids. So he really enjoys that time. And we're having a rare evening in Mumbai that is not fully rained out. So he's quite happy to be able to go downstairs and spend some time with his friends. Mr. Pink says, good evening. Harish, I would like to hear your views on UFO. Yeah, that was really something, right? So there was, this whole news that the United States has had a quote unquote UFO debris from crashes in the past, plus a body found within those crashes that was not human, quote again, not human remains, and has classified that information, kept it a secret this entire time. It's now come out. So, I mean, first question to ask is, why would the aliens only visit America and not anywhere else? It's not a Hollywood film. But I suppose we could also argue that they had a department for this sort of thing. We don't, or maybe most of the world has not been watching us closely, but it's really fascinating information. Yashaswini Kadam, absolutely loving Beatroot. Can you tell us what are the names within the mix? Okay. While telling friends to check it out, they misspell it and don't find the app. Beatroot. Yeah. I know. So I'll tell you what. So actually, there were no other names. We were sitting out in a circle trying to come up with something to name it. I wanted to name it after a vegetable. You know why? Because I believe that news is good for you. It's like vegetables. You have to have a certain amount of news every day in order to be functioning. And it's not meant to be exciting. So it's not butter chicken. It's not fast food. It's good. It's roughage. It's good for you. You have to have it every day. So we're looking for the name of a vegetable, and I just loved the sound of beetroot. It's also, it's rooted. I love the color. It gives us a sound to play with. And we use the word, we spelt it BEAT because journalists have beats when they cover. And also it gives us a sort of I like the way it sounds. Let me see, what else do we have? Videos of Arnab questioning the BJP are floating. It's clear. Just to give me, what are your thoughts? See, I'll tell you, some journalists are now questioning the BJP for various reasons. There's an election coming up, and as we've seen in that election, the BJP has started using influencers to do their marketing instead of giving money to the channels that have sort of done their bidding this entire time. So there's definitely a loss of revenue for these channels. Now, if you've seen Beer Biceps has done a series of interviews. The government has actually put out tenders and got in two agencies from the news that came out yesterday. Two more agencies to bring in influencers to push their ideas. So remember, influencer marketing is really big right now. Post-COVID, many large brands have been using influencers to push their products rather than television or newspapers that have become very expensive. It's a more personalized, different way to market. There's no reason why politics shouldn't use that as advertising either. Now, going into an election, it is a massive revenue period for television channels. For that 1 year during the campaign, they expect everybody to spend a lot of money, and mostly these political parties spend a lot of money on advertising. Now, what's happening here specifically, we understand that India, the alliance of 26 parties, which control most state governments, have decided collectively to boycott the channels that are specifically doing the bidding of the BJP. So they're not going to give them any revenue. Plus, you have the BJP themselves that are looking at influencers rather than at TV channels. So obviously, I would say this is a coded message that has been sent out. And I wouldn't take it too seriously because look at the channel's behavior over the last 9 years and decide. I wouldn't decide based on one show and one comment that's going viral. Kunal says, can you declutter the Waqf board? Is it dangerous for Hindus or India? Why would it be? I would recommend you do some, a question like that. I would recommend you do some research on what that board does. In my understanding, it handles and it distributes money that is given to charity for orphanages and for other charitable purposes and for schools and things like that. The fact that you're asking the question suggests to me that there isn't enough research that has gone in already. Fayaz says, miss you on the air. I'm on the air right now. Random, please start an editorial section on your YouTube page, Faye's take on one daily issue. We're considering that. I mean, so far, honestly, so here's the thing, guys. So far, the journalism has been, we will not put out your opinion at all. So if you want an editor's take, it has to be, we have to move away from that. And that has to be a conscious decision. So give me a hand raise if you believe that that's something that we should start doing. Any update on the Narendra Dabholkar case? Not that I know of, actually. Do you see any changes in the 2024 general elections? I know, depends on what you mean by changes. I think it's going to be an interesting election after the India Alliance came in. They're getting some things wrong. So an update on the India Alliance after the last time I put out a video. So what happened is there was a no confidence motion that was apparently moved, as you know, was moved in Parliament. Now, again, in order to have a no confidence motion that has any teeth at all, you have to have the numbers. Now, we know all the opposition parties together, including some independents, are not even close to having the numbers in Lok Sabha to make a no confidence motion count in any way. But there needs to be at least 50 MPs, 50, who ask for a no confidence. Like one of them needs to ask, and then somebody needs to back it, second it, third it, and then a bunch of people have to just get on board. But once a no confidence motion is accepted by the Speaker and a date is given, the Prime Minister has to come to Parliament to respond to that no confidence motion. So the opposition says that this is their way of bringing the Prime Minister to Parliament because he hasn't come yet and he is not answering questions on Manipur. Now, the BJP's argument is, we have the Home Minister who's willing to come and answer questions on Manipur, but you're just doing politics. So that's where that is. But here's what happened. The 26 opposition parties that make up the India Alliance wanted to be able to move the no confidence motion together. The Congress jumped the gun and moved it before consulting everybody else. And, Sonia Gandhi was apparently the politician who stood up and, put up her name. But the rest of them felt a little unhappy about it, from what we understand. And this is a report in the Indian Express saying, why didn't you consult us? And why didn't we do this together? Why did you jump the gun and do it ahead of everybody else? And we understand also from these reports that Mallikarjun Kharge has accepted that was a mistake and the Congress party should have waited for everyone else. So there've been a little bit of prickly here and there. They're still sort of getting used to working with each other. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Any plan to join a news channel? Rajendra, which one? If you scan all the news channels that are available right now on your television, I wouldn't want to work with any one of them at this point, given the kind of work that they're doing. I'm very, very happy with my startup and the space that we've created and my ability through the internet to speak to you directly. How real is the India economic story? Is it just a comparison with recession? Is it real? So here's the thing, right? So I had a conversation just last night with someone who used to, without using a name, run a very powerful bank, who was the lead of a very powerful bank in India. And we were talking about the various things about the India growth story that we're looking at right now. So there are two very different things, right? So let me tell you what the negatives are. Inflation. Gas cylinders are too expensive. Vegetables are too expensive. Electricity is too expensive. Petrol is too expensive. Schooling is too expensive. And so the average Indian who is either urban poor or rural poor is having trouble putting food on the table right now. And that is really taxing for them, right? And that is a real serious problem. The second problem is unemployment. Now, you remember during the last election, specifically post demonetization, there was a question about unemployment in 2020, then during COVID, and then post-COVID, and the government kept saying gig economy workers. They said that look at the people who are working as delivery people, look at the jobs that have been created. They're working in taxis, Ola, Uber, Zomato. These jobs now have become very difficult. A lot of times the margins are not enough for the gig workers. The hours are too hard. People are getting sick. People are not able to make ends meet. So that whole sort of dream is beginning to crack a little bit. We have many gig workers that are protesting against the companies that they're working for. A lot of the startup bubble also is looking a little gray at this point because some of these companies are not looking as wholesome as they used to be, let me say. So these are the problems. Fewer jobs, higher things to pay for. On the other side, the flip side, the good stuff, right? So the good stuff is direct benefit transfer, money that's going directly into the bank accounts of poor citizens. Apparently, that is working really well in rural India, and people are really benefiting from direct benefit transfer. The other thing that the government has done well is building of infrastructure, building roads. And see, when the government builds large infrastructure, so it is building massive roads, and it is without a shadow of doubt, everyone will accept that the national highways, the NHAI, the National Highways Authority, headed by Nitin Gadkari's ministry, has done remarkable work. They're just building roads like there's no tomorrow. What that does is that it creates jobs for people in infrastructure. It also makes life easier for people, because something that would otherwise, if you had to take your tomatoes to the sabzi mandi and that would take you half a day, it now takes you half an hour because the road is so much nicer. And so it changes people's lives. Electricity is now in most villages. So what that does is that it improves productivity. It improves the number of hours that each individual can work, because now they have electricity at night. So these things have really made a difference. And also apparently the Awas Yojana, which is building houses in rural India, has made a difference because it gives work to masons and carpenters and plumbers and people who are engaged in these sort of jobs. So they're getting a lot more jobs outside of agriculture. So these few things have done really, really well. UPI has made more and more people come into sort of formal banking rather than just the cash economy. As you've seen yourself, you've seen a change in the pattern of what you've done as well. So these are the things the government has done really well. Unemployment and inflation is a point that they are terribly failing at. And I think also what we must acknowledge is the fact that while our GDP is growing, and it's going to, because we're such a large country of young people where everybody's working, so that GDP is going to keep going up. What is also happening is that there is a wide divide between the rich and the poor. Now, in most of the sectors that we're looking at, whether it is cars, whether it is homes, whether it's any of these things, luxury goods are doing really, really well, whereas the bottom of the pyramid is suffering. It's a suggestion. When scooters are not selling, but your luxury cars are selling, it means that the rich are making more and more money, but the poor are not able to move up enough to be able to go from a cycle to a scooter. And that's the problem that we're facing in India right now. So our per capita income is not great compared to the rest of the world. So our GDP can be fantastic, but that's not a GDP that is being equally shared among everyone in the country. And that is a problem. So this is my assessment right now of the Indian economy. Please feel free to rebut if you want to, and we can continue that conversation. Okay. What's your take on podcasters interviewing politicians? I just told you they're doing it for money. See, I'll tell you what. Let me just tell you this. When a politician gives an interview to a podcaster instead of a journalist, there is a difference that you as the audience needs to understand. Now, as a journalist, when I interview a politician, I am required by my profession to maintain an ethical interview, which means that if someone is giving me a factual inaccuracy, I have to rebut it. I have to cross question. I have to have research. I cannot take what the person is saying at face value. Now, and also as journalists, we have rules. We don't share questions beforehand. We don't allow the other person to look at the edit and decide what goes, what doesn't go. Can you drop this? Can you drop that? We don't do any of that. Now, it's easier to do it with influencers because they're not journalists. And so they don't have all of this baggage of saying that, no, I will ask you whatever I want. You should be willing to answer any of the questions that I ask and things like that. So as the audience members, I think that not good. It's not a good sign. Or we should just treat it like an advertisement. So when you see an influencer interviewing a politician, treat it like an advertisement, because that's what it is. Harish, I guess we'll be setting up something similar to Catalogue of Strange Incidents. Yeah. Rajesh, do you think mainland liberals are not understanding the issue in Manipur? Northeast has been prone to ethnic violence since independence. We've seen these incidents even in our Assam. Mainland liberals. Interesting term, mainland liberals. I think what's happening right now, Rajesh, is that the government of the day has been unable to stop that violence. It's rampant. It's costing lives, and it's gone on for too long. And everybody in this country knows that our armed forces and our police and our reserve police is extremely well heeled. and they should be given the authority to stop the violence immediately. In spite of what we have seen, reports have told us that the violence continues, and that should not be okay. That's it. Harish says you blush beetroot too. Yes, every time someone says beetroot, I smile. Nagarjun, can you add notifications? Dude, we have added notifications. Can you just refresh or update your app in the App Store, please? You'll get notifications. Dark mode, Shubham says. So we're working on dark mode as well. But we're doing a couple of things. There are a couple of linking issues that we're having to be able to share a link on each story. So we're trying to fix that. And after that, we're going to fix the interface, which is the screen itself, so that the text is not getting cut. And then we will work on dark mode. Payal Goswami, can you help us raise our voice against the lack of safety for armed forces personnel in cantonment and airforce stations? Okay, Payal, can you send us an email? My colleague will put the email ID at the bottom of, into the chat, and you can send us an email with more details. Radha says, yes, for an editorial content. Okay. Yes, Radha. In fact, we're working on a really cool tie-up, and I'll tell you about it very soon, as soon as it's done and in the works. Izio Naveen says, marketing is everything nowadays, reaching people with influence of social media. That's true. Who do you think will be apt for PM post? So, okay, so you know what? I'm a big fan of the parliamentary system. So, I don't believe we don't have a presidential system in this country. We have a parliamentarian system, which means we vote for the most qualified person in our constituency, and that person then goes to parliament. Then they form the government, and from within that government, a prime minister is chosen. Now, that is the process, and the reason why it works that way is because we all need to be represented in that decision. So anyone can be prime minister, really. Hey, Wyatt, the PM is not answering questions on Manipur, on wrestlers, on women's safety, and Adani. The PM has been elected by the people. He's accountable. What message does this send out to the country? That he doesn't want to answer your questions. That's the message. Learn with me. Are you going to involve public bites or opinion in your show? Can we have one show where the public opinion comes out? Interesting. We can do that. We work on it. Sajjan Mishra, what is your vision for Beatroot? Do you plan to raise funds and expand the team? All of these things, Sajjan. So we plan to raise funds. We plan to expand the team. We plan to add an audio feature. We plan to add a video feature. We plan to add many languages. Our aim is to be able to bring a sort of dignified sense to news across the board. Governments are more interested in lottery and online gambling. Kindly do a story. Okay. We will take a look at it. Vivian D'Souza, is there a way I can contribute to Beatroot? We will tell you very soon how you can contribute to Beatroot. Ashwin, Dr. Ashwin, do you personally think the PM Modi's image is flunking post-Manipur issue? Will the intensity of the Modi wave be lower? Actually, see, it's difficult to tell because there's a lot of time between now and when we vote, and anything can happen in that time. Also, I think that we must acknowledge the fact that public memory tends to be a little short and people tend to forget things very quickly. Ravi Bhatt, can you please tell me about some books on political strategy and influencing people's thoughts? Wow. I will make a list for you on weapons of mass deception. Ours. Hello. All the best for Beatroot. Have fun with your team tonight. Oh, thank you. Mukesh, thanks for the $40. Why the name Beatroot? Because it's good for you. The news is also meant to be good for you. Sajjan says the 100% facts. That's true. Ravi, could you please tell me some think tank research papers for increasing? I'm sorry, critical thinking. Wow, you're really giving me a lot of homework. Random bot, I miss listening to how you used to break down and explain important news articles at the beginning of Urban Debate. Okay, we can try and bring that back again. Have you ever played any video games? I'm not a big fan. I played a little bit, but I mean, it's not something that I find particularly exciting. Also, my hand-eye coordination is terrible, so I'm not even any good at it. Rajiv Kumar, what is your view on the bill that's being brought to dilute RTI? So there are lots of bills, and in fact, I'm going to be working on a longish video because we need to look at the forest bill. We need to look at the Jan Vishwas bill as to how much Vishwas that's actually going to build among the Jan. Rahul Kumar, after COVID, India has a higher number of young people that are vast majority of them low-skilled force becoming government job aspirants. That is true. Shubham, can we contribute to app development? So my colleague Ira is going to put an email ID in. If you want to contribute to development, let us know. We'll try and get in touch with you and we'll see what we can fix up. Radha says my show got cancelled, so I'm here. Yay, Radha. Therese Hussain, an authentic journalist. Oh, thank you. Yes, the Google grant thing though, an update on that. Yes, we won a Google grant. We're a Google grant company. It was a grant to help us sort of build our equipment and increase our quality. So we're just one among a few organizations across the world that won that grant. Rajiv Kumar says, miss your debates. Okay, so we can bring back debates as well. Pavan Kumar, thanks for the $5. We'll use the money to pay salaries and to expand the Beatroot concept. Sajjan Mishra, do you think there should be basic education criteria for parliamentary candidates and elections? So here's the thing, right? When the constitution was being written and when the process of parliament was being written back in the day, India was not a very educated country. And everybody deserved to be represented, which is why our founding parents decided that you didn't need to have a minimum education and you should be able to, contest elections. But if I need to check this. 1 second. Yeah, so there's no minimum education required to become either MLA or MP in this country, from what I understand. Nagarjun Rao, thanks for the $10. Should I invest in US large caps or Indian mid caps? If you ask me, I would say the Indian stock market has a better horizon for a longer run over the longer period of time. So I would say invest in, even if you were to do Indian mid caps or Indian large caps, you would still perhaps see better growth. Aditya Jain, do we need men's commission? Where men's suicide rate in India is almost double. Okay, I feel like this is a trick question. I think what we need, Aditya, is a clearer program on mental health, where we have a government department that is actually looking at mental health. Now, it's been said before by many experts that post-COVID, India has a mental health pandemic, in the sense that it's not just the number of people dying by suicide, it's the self-harm, it's the students, it's the farmers, it's the gig workers that we need to look at. And we need to realize that suicide, and we've been doing this wrong for so many years. We have a large number of farmers who die by suicide every year, and we look at it as it is a failure in the farming sector, which it is, but it is also a greater failure in mental health that we're not looking at. We have a large number of homemakers who die by suicide based on the numbers. Of course, some of them get further investigated as dowry deaths as well. We have a large number of students, and over the last couple of years, the number of daily wage workers who are dying by suicide has also come up, right? So it's not about whether we have a women's commission or a men's commission, and it's not a gender thing, it's a mental health thing. If you were to ask me, that is what we need to be focusing on. Also, you're saying we need a men's commission as if the women's commission is doing a very great job. So really, we need to refocus on all these departments and the work that they're doing. I recognize RBG, Rosa Parks behind you. That's a cool person. You like it, right? I like it too. Wait, let me show you more. I don't know to show you. Who else there is? There's Malala. And there's Frida. Does Arvind Kejriwal aligning with the Congress not dilute his anti-corruption? Boss, everybody's anti-corruption reputation is getting diluted right now because everybody's moving around the field. I think at this point they're just choosing whatever suits them going into the next election. So we have Ajit Pawar, Praful Patel, Chhagan Bhujbal with the BJP. That's diluting their anti-corruption stand. We have Arvind Kejriwal now talking to the Congress and the left at the same time. The left is talking to the Congress. So I don't know where anybody's ideological stand really is at this point. I think what we're looking at going into the next election is BJP and non-BJP, or BJP for BJP, anti-BJP. These are the two sort of packs that we're looking at. And I think each of them, they're going to have So they're not going to have so much of an anti-corruption per se. It's going to be a BJP or anti-BJP sort of campaign that we're looking at. L, thanks for the £2. Radha says, I know we're having a serious discussion, but suggest an evening snack, homemade sandwich, protein shake, burger from McDonald's. Let me see. What is my favorite evening snack? So I really like cucumber sandwiches. So regular bread, that soft cheese spread, like the Amul cheese spread, and thinly sliced cucumbers. Makes for a great evening snack. Unless you're sitting in Bangalore where it's a little cold because it's raining, in which case you can have vade or you can have pakoras. Tyagaraj, Faye ma'am, about your India MP visit. I already started with this, but if you've just joined, I think that we must put as much attention on Manipur as we can. Equity expert too. No, I'm actually not an equity expert. I am a fan of mutual funds in India. I've been investing in mutual funds myself since I was 24. I spent about 8 plus 4, about 12, 13 years reporting on mutual funds and insurance in India. So it's really it's a sector that I've tracked closely. And I believe in the Indian equity sector. It's always done well. So I'm not an expert, but I enjoy watching the Indian equity sector. Okay. Sajan, wanted to ask you what you think if there should be a minimum education. We already discussed that. Isn't the NCW a sham? Performative at this point. What do you think? See, unfortunately, what happens is these appointees become political appointees because they're appointed by the government of the day. So you will have the DCW who will be closer to the Delhi government, and you'll have the NCW be closer to the central government. So that way, every state has a women's commission, and the head of that women's commission is appointed by that state government. Similarly, with the central government, and so they become political appointees. And unfortunately, right now they are doing more political work than they're doing work for the women of their state. Bollywood making politics-oriented movies a new trend. A lot of it appears to be buttering the government. Any reason why Bollywood has chosen to do this? Because it makes their life easier. They assume that if they do politically motivated films, that they will get tax-free plays in most states. That government members of government, sitting ministers will go and watch their films, will host screening of their films, and will go and tell people to watch their films, all of which has already happened. So we've seen it happen. They will get national awards. And basically that all the supporters of the government in their large numbers will go out and watch these films. So we've seen that happen, and which is why they're doing it. It's all guys, it's all money. Everybody's doing this for the money. 1 second. Let me see. How are you working on your news channel to avoid biases? Okay, so this is what we do. We have people with different beliefs on our team, and we sort of challenge each other. So for example, if we're writing something and I write a headline that one of my colleagues disagrees with, everyone is empowered to ask, why are we writing it this way? Doesn't this seem biased? Should we write it that way? So we actually have a democratic sort of newsroom that way, in the sense that everybody has the ability to ask questions and to question why things are done a certain way. Is black your favorite color, John Smith? It actually is. Blue is also my favorite color. I like black because from a screen, so it makes getting dressed easier. I sort of got used to wearing black, and now I just like it. Phoebe is upset about Bollywood politics. That is true. I think Neil has just come back from his walk, so Phoebe got excited. She gets excited when he comes back. His health insurance really is bad, as people say. I have insurance for my company, but I'm afraid it won't come through. It's always, rather, it's always good to get your personal insurance as well. Hi, Neil. Come. Hi. It's always good to get your personal insurance as well. If for some reason you wind up leaving your current organization, you'll be left with no insurance policy. So it's good to have two parallel insurances running side by side. What are Neil's favorite activities? So right now he's really into little toy cars and dinosaurs. And his favorite activity is to chase Phoebe around the house. which is not Phoebe's favorite activity, as you might have guessed. Garima says, thank you for all the news and the coverage on Instagram. Love from New Zealand. Thank you, Garima. Please download our app. It's called Beatroot News. Ira, please put the Beatroot download link onto the chat window, please, so that everybody can download that as well. Have you ever made your political leanings public? Is it unfair for journalists to? No, see, I don't particularly lean towards any political party, honestly. They all seem the same to me. And that's the unfortunate truth. I think that there's very little to choose from. My ideologies, I will tell you. Economically, I believe in keeping the market as free as possible. So as as open a market as possible. So I believe in free market policies, but I also believe that the government should look after the poor, especially in a country like ours. So free healthcare, free education, free food for the poorest, as much support and help to the women and the girls of the country and the children of the country. We should not have a single child going to sleep hungry in this country, and that is something we should endeavor. So if we ensure that every child in this country is well fed and properly educated, they will be able to compete when they grow up and take us out of poverty. Those are my beliefs, economically. So I believe in subsidy, what some people call freebies. I believe that it ought to be done because it's not being done. That's the job of the government, is to look after the poor. That is the job of the public sector, to look after the public, right? And that's what I believe. And so what I do is I decide on every policy brought in by government on the merit of that particular policy, and not based on, I like this party or I don't like this party. And that's how I operate. Okay, my view on El Nino: it is a storm that is making everything very hot. And, I read this really scary article that said that south of Europe, which is the Mediterranean, so Greece and Italy, where we're seeing a lot of fires and really heavy, terrible heat, is now, their weather is now turning into weather is very similar to North Africa. Now, remember, North Africa is a desert, and that is, that kind of climate change is really hitting us. So we've really messed this up, guys. Rather, do you think it was a bad idea for Bharat Jodo Yatra to skip west and east route completely? I think maybe they've kept some for later. Remember, they still have some time and some more work to do, but I don't really know what their strategy is. Kwesa, today's my birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Kwesa. I hope you have a good one. John Smith, what happened to Elon Musk? Why is Twitter now far be it from me to figure out the motives behind Elon Musk's activities. But it's interesting to note also that Threads, while it got everybody to sign on, it hasn't really done that well because people really don't know what to do with Threads, really. Have you ever confronted an Archduke Republic journalist? No, I don't have time for that sort of thing. Would you like to become Prime Minister? Never say never, dude. Never say never. Thank you for sharing your ideology. Do you think there's any country or regime that's been able to perfect it or come close, even in theory? I think different countries have done different things, and it's very difficult to sort of compare our country to anybody else's because we're so unique and we're like so different. So the Scandinavian countries have managed to look after their citizens really well. Countries like Germany, for example, even higher education is completely free. Again, the populations are much smaller there, so it's easier to standardize. And their populations tend to be more homogeneous, which means that everybody speaks the same language, everybody's largely the same religion, everybody largely has the same education and the lifestyle. So it's easy then to make policies across the board. We don't have that, and so we have to have more specific policies. Germany, like I said, higher education is free. In countries like France, entire healthcare is free once you get onto their system. The taxes tend to be very high. In India, we're paying taxes which are very high. We do have access to free healthcare, free education, and all of that. But the quality of our public services are so bad that people then go to the private sector. And the private sector then decides to charge whatever the hell they want because now they're enjoying this demand versus supply benefit for their market. Now, what's happening here is that we are spending our money on public sector hospitals, on schools, on all of these services, and we're not demanding good enough service. What we do instead is just not go there and not realize that you've already paid the bill for the government hospital. You're just not using it. We need to put more pressure on our governments to improve all of these services. Do you feel Rahul Gandhi has been able to change his image? See, it's all marketing, right? So when a person changes the way they dress, they change their hair, they change their look, they change how they talk. It's all strategic marketing, and you have to see it like that. Having said that, Rahul Gandhi obviously has made an effort towards his strategic marketing, which is different from what we've seen in previous elections. So there is an effort being made there, which we need to acknowledge. But you should remember, everything is marketing when you look at it. Can non-journalism background person work in a journalism job and become a journalist? Yes, because everybody learns this on the job, and it's really about doing the right thing, which I think we all know instinctively. Everything else you can learn on the job. It's a shame that majority citizens still watch TV news. It's because they don't know that they can download the Beatroot app. But we'll tell them. Okay, guys, I have to run. I'm a student. Guide me to become a journalist, okay? Take a bunch of internships. It'll give you a sense of the kind of work that journalism involves and where you want to be and what you want to do. All right, so I'm gonna run, but thank you so much for joining us and for being part of our AMA. We will do this every Saturday. Next Saturday we'll be back at 8 o'clock in the evening, and it'll be my pleasure to hang out with you and answer any question at all you have to ask me. Please, 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 please download the Beatroot News app, Beatroot. There it is. It's completely, entirely, 100% free. We don't ask for any personal information. We don't even ask you for your name. You download it, you open it, the news is right there. It's available on Android and on iOS. Please tell your friends and family to download it as well. It is our attempt to restore the dignity to news, and I really hope you feel that it is of value. So download the app, let us know what you think, and I'm going to keep coming here every Saturday to give you updates. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you on Monday with more news and videos and updates, and of course on the Beatroot app. Thank you.